When I was a little boy, my mother and father and I lived with my grandparents. And I remember my grandmother years ago telling me what we back then called Armistice Day really meant to her and to our family. My grandfather and some of my great uncles served in World War I. And World War I came to an end at 11 o'clock in the morning on November the 11th. And how important that was for my family, of course, that I didn't know at that time that the war was over. 11 o'clock in the morning, the 11th month, the 11th day. Later, I remember my grandfather telling stories about that. And at that time, you know, I was more, I guess, interested in what happened, what did you do, you know, rather than focusing on what he gave. But certainly over the years, I, along with all of you in our family room today, have come to understand what now Veterans Day really means. Thanks so much, Jeannie, for you being here. And Phil, thank you so much for your words. And to all of our guests, many of whom have served our country, many women and men have given so much so that we can be in here today. I can stand up here and celebrate the Eucharist. And you see names being scrolled on the screen over here to my right. Those are names of women and men that we've received, that people have submitted to us over the past weeks for us to remember in a very special way today on this Veterans Day 2010. I find it somewhat interesting as well that today we celebrate the feast of a man named Martin. Martin lived back in the 4th century. His occupation? Martin was a soldier in the Roman army. He was not a Christian. And one day, as he was watching over his duties in the army, he noticed a poor beggar sitting by the side of the road. It was not a very nice day, rainy and cold. And Martin related how you could tell this guy had not eaten for quite a while. He stopped. He looked at that gentleman. He took off his cloak that he was wearing, and he wrapped it around this poor beggar. The story is related, the beggar just looked up at him and said, "God bless you." That touched Martin so much that giving of something to somebody else that encouraged him to become a Christian and later a priest and later a bishop of Tours. Ever since then, St. Martin has been regarded as a patron saint of all military personnel. Certainly he understood that God came into his life at that point and led him to share of his life, of what he had. Our military women and men continue to share of their life, of their goodness for each and every one of us. May God bless them always.